First off, I want to say thank you so much for getting and trying the CRM. I hope it makes as big of an impact on your business as it has mine. I also know that it can be a little bit overwhelming learning a new software, especially when it has so many different features and stuff. So my advice would be just keep it super simple. I would start with just processing some leads through the CRM so you can get an understanding of its basic core features and start to see how it can be used as a tool to help your business. So I just want to briefly go over how and where I would start. And then as time goes on, when you have a couple hours in little pieces and chunks, I would sit down and I would go through the onboarding and get something set up, like get your phone set up, get the email set up, integrate the calendar. But just to start, I wouldn't even worry about importing past clients or estimates. I would wait a little bit for two reasons. One is I think it'll be nice if there's not a lot of contacts in the CRM, so it's nice and simple and easy to see and understand, and just run some leads through it so you can get an idea how it works. Also, after you use this a little bit, I think you'll understand when you do import stuff like, hey, I want to have these things included, and you won't really understand and know that till you use this a little bit. So when you first start, you're going to have to manually enter your leads. But I would say the end goal is to set up all the automations to where all that is done for you eventually. But when you first start, there's two main ways that you're going to enter leads and estimates and jobs into the system. So if it's a new lead that you have not set up for an estimate and you're going to use the system to help you do that, you're going to want to enter that right here on the contacts tab with this plus button. Now, if you've already done the estimate, but you're wanting to put it in the CRM, like maybe you want to use the jobs pipeline, or maybe it's a think about it estimate where it's pending and you want the system to automatically follow up with that estimate for you, you're going to actually click right here where it says auto create estimates and jobs. So the way to think about it, if it's a lead that hasn't been set up yet, I'd enter it here. If you already did the estimate, I'd enter it here. So see, when I click here, it's just going to take the information and auto generate the lead, the estimate, and possibly the job, and put them in all the right spots with all the right stats to have good data for you. And when you come down to the estimate outcome here, so you can see if I put booked on the spot, it's going to ask for a close date, versus if I put think about it, it's going to ask when you want to follow up with them. So it'll know, hey, if it's booked, then we need to create a job. But if it's not, then it's just an estimate. All right, so let's go back to contacts here. And to get started, you want to process some leads through the CRM. So let me show you what I mean by that. I'm just going to manually enter a contact. So you press this plus button, and all you really need to focus on is the name, email, and phone. Don't worry about any of this other stuff here. And if you don't have email or phone, you can literally just have one name. So John, and I'll press save, and then it's going to create a contact and take you to this page. Now you'll want to fill out the rest of the information you have here for whatever you do have, but if all you have is John, that's all you really need at this moment. But let's say you're talking to John and he starts mentioning the address. As soon as you start typing numbers, you'll see it'll start predicting what the address is, which if you've ever been on the phone trying to get an address, you know that's super helpful. He's like, yeah, 2564 Glendale, and you just click that and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's 80538, right, in Loveland. It's like, oh, yeah, and just saving you time. You'll notice this year built right here. You don't actually have to fill that in. The system will automatically look up in public records when that house was built and put that in for you. So right when I press save, it'll start doing that in the background, which for us is helpful. We want to know if the house was built before 1978 to know if it has lead, especially on exteriors. So this type of work here, you'll just put, this interior, exterior, maybe it's both. Is it commercial, something else? You'll put that in there. In other videos, you can see how you can even add other categories and customize this for your business. Lead source is really important. If you're not trying to get the lead source of every lead, I would strongly recommend implementing systems to be able to do so. If you're not sure where it came from, you can just simply ask, hey, how'd you hear about us? And you could leave it blank, but I prefer to put unknown if I don't know. If it was, say, a client referral, that's what this is here for, is you can put in what was the name of the client in case you want to maybe send them a thank you letter or something. This is more for if you're running Google AdWords or Facebook ads, you would auto pull this in. So I wouldn't worry about this. This will get auto pulled in as well, and is really only helpful if you have more than one phone number. Like sometimes if you put a ad in a magazine or direct mailer, you might want to use a specific number so you know that that's where it came from and you don't have to ask, how'd you hear about us? Or it just auto fills in. Point is, I wouldn't worry about this right now. That'll be helpful later. Ask to be contacted at a later date is helpful for let's say you call John and he's like, hey, I'm really busy right now. I'm gonna have surgery on Monday, but after I'm all healed up and stuff, I do want to paint. So can you give me a call in like a week? You would just come in here, select like a week out, and then when you press save now, it's going to automatically move this lead to the right spot in the pipeline, basically contacted, follow-up needed. And then when you're on your contacts page, you'll notice there's this new and lead call list here. Your lead call list is going to list all the leads that you should be trying to contact right now to set up estimates. And you'll notice John's not there. John will appear here in 1 week or whatever date you put on there. And that's all you got to do is put in the date, press save, go to the next one. So I'm going to load some fake leads into here to show you of how this is designed to be fast. And in the beginning, you'll manually be entering this, but as time goes on, you'll want like your website, when somebody fills out the form, for it to just come into the CRM. And that's what this new list is for, is all the new contacts that have come into your CRM. If you connect your phones, every phone call is going to create a new contact and it'll be in this new list. And then you and anybody else that works with you periodically wants to come into this new list, and you'll see it says 1 in 10, and you can just click through the list quickly here and organize these new contacts. So that's why this relationship is the very first field. So sometimes on those contacts form on your website, you'll get solicitors trying to get you to sign up for a loan, or even a scammer, or maybe it's just a vendor trying to get your business. This is especially true with phone calls too. So you can just quickly be like, oh, that was a solicitor. Save, go to the next one. Oh, this one was just a subcontractor looking for work. Save, go to the next one. Oh, this was a lead. So I'm going to label it as a lead. And then you're going to try to set this lead up with an estimate. So after you set up your phones, you can call them right here. You can just press call. It'll start dialing. You could also send them a text, email. You can also automate this stuff and have it happen right when the lead comes in. But let's go ahead and look at this lead real quick, and you'll see all these lead stages. Basically, if you simplify it, there's 3 things. There's maybe, yes, and no. So these first ones are maybe, right? Like, it's not necessarily new anymore because I have called them, so that's contact attempted. Some systems like Yelp or Thumbtack maybe have a messaging system and they haven't messaged you back. Maybe you, like that example I gave, John, you contacted, he told you to call back in a week. That would be here. Normally, we don't manually put stuff in reschedule. I'll show you in a little bit how the system will do that in case you get a no-show or they cancel their estimate. And then unresponsive is just for those leads you keep calling, but they never get back to you. The yes would be estimate set. And all these down here are the no reasons, right? So maybe they live too far away from you. Maybe it was bad contact information, the number didn't work. Maybe they wanted it done in 2 days and you're booked for a couple weeks. Whatever the case may be, you can put that in there. But where it's designed for speed is you don't even have to open up the lead and look at it. You just come down here to this tags, and you'll notice all those stages in the lead pipeline are right here as well. So to make it super fast, you can just come down here, start typing outside a service area, click that, go to the next one, and that'll immediately, if I go back real quick, it moved the lead to outside a service area, and it knows to mark it as a lost lead. But all you had to do is just quickly do that, go to the next one. You know, is this a lead? If not, label it, go to the next one. If it is a lead, reach out to them, and then just put what happened really quick right here. Hopefully, we set them up for an estimate. Now, one of the first things I would recommend integrating is the calendar, because if you're on the phone and you set them up with an estimate, you can come over to this icon right here, press add. You'll have your estimators calendars here to choose from. If it's just you, there's just one. And then all your open spots will come up here. And this is linked with whatever external calendar you're using. So like we use Google Calendar. So this will immediately put it in the Google Calendar for you with the information you want to see, with the address. So when you're driving, you can just get GPS instructions there. And you don't have to manually enter in all that information. All you have to do is pick a time, and you're going to set up what days and times you're available here and connect this with an external calendar. But for right now, while that's not set up, you would just come to the tags here and put estimate set, and that's all you have to do. Now you'll notice this estimate done is also there, and that's one of the stages. You actually never select estimate done and set. The system will automatically do that when you say what happened at the estimate, which I'll show you here in a minute. But if it is an estimate done and set, remember, you're just going to come here and enter it right here rather than entering it through the contacts. So let's go back to my new list, and you'll notice it's shorter now because I cleared some of those out. But let's just, for an example, show this one. I'm going to come down here and say estimate set. And then here in the middle, this shows you everything that's happened with this contact in chronological order. So you can filter it if all you want to see is your text messages. You just do that and it'll just show your text messages. But you'll notice what it's showing us in here is, this lead was new and now it's under estimate set and it created an estimate. So by just adding that tag, that's some of the automations it ran. Another one is if you don't have a lead source and you set an estimate, you'll get a notification from the CRM just saying, hey, notice this contact was set without a lead source. You should enter a lead source. And that just comes from experience knowing that, these kind of things happen. But if you want complete data, you need those kind of processes and systems to help you have the best data as possible. All right, so these little squares in here are showing you opportunities. So you can actually view them by clicking here, and on the bottom left corner here shows you what it is. So this is the lead, this is the estimate, but let's go to opportunities. And the big three are leads, estimates, and jobs. So if you look right here on this drop down, we've got our estimates, jobs, and leads. There's some other opportunities or pipelines here that I'm not going to touch on, but it's basically just for hiring painters or subs. I've also got this refund eligible leads because, if you're buying leads and you get a bad one, it's nice to kind of track it. You don't have to use that, but it's there for you if you want. So if I go to my estimates, you'll notice that estimate I set up is right here under estimate set. You'll notice there's a number. It says 1 right there. That should be how many estimates are actually set up right now. So if you look in your calendar and you have 6 estimates set, it should say 6 right here. Now let's say that one of the estimates cancels, or you get there and they're just a no-show. Once you integrate the calendars, so you can choose to not do this if you want, but we send an email after we set the estimate, which is an automation, and we'll also have a calendar invite to the contact. And there's a link in there if they need to cancel, they can click and they can cancel. Or you can manually mark it as a no-show or a canceled in here. But what that's going to do is it's going to automatically delete it from here, so that estimate set will no longer be here. And on the lead, it's going to kick it back from estimate set to reschedule previously set estimate. So then next time you go to your lead call list, it's going to be in there and you're going to see, oh, I need to reschedule this. And maybe if they canceled for a reason that doesn't make sense, you could label it as a lost lead. But it's just nice that all that's done in the background for you, keeping your data organized and making it easy. If you do work in teams, estimator shows up, they're not there, they just mark it as a no-show, kicks it back, the office sees it, they can try to reschedule it, do what's needed. But I'm going to go back to my new list. I'm going to quickly just do a couple things, right? So I'm going to say this guy asked me to call him tomorrow. Let's say this one I actually set up an estimate. So I'm going to set it up for this Wednesday at 10 a.m., book appointment. We'll also book this guy up for an estimate. All right, now you'll see that the new is empty because I cleared all them out. If I go to my lead call list, you'll see there's some leads in here that I need to call. And I can quickly see, oh, I've tried to reach out to this guy, I haven't got a hold of him. Looks like I got a hold of this guy, but I'm trying to get a hold of him again. I could open this up, look at the notes, call him again. All right, so we've got these 3 estimates set. Now, I would recommend getting in the habit of doing this live. So you download the app, and while you're at the estimate, I would actually say what happens. It's a great habit to create. If not, though, I would try to audit it once a week. Like if you're working in teams, it's like for my estimators, it's like your stats have to be in 1 hour before the team meeting each week, getting that weekly habit. So these are your estimates. And the way to open the estimate is you click anywhere on this white tile square here. If you actually click on the name, it'll take you to the contact. But to open the estimate, you click here and this opens up. And when you open it up, you'll see you've got the details and the estimate info. And all you really need to focus on here is the stage and the opportunity value. So you'll notice the stage is all the different stages that could happen with an estimate. And they're the same stages that are right here. So if you're going to say what happened at the estimate, hopefully it's booked on the spot, but maybe it's think about it, other estimates, or maybe it was a no. They went with a different company. They didn't like the price, whatever the case may be. But let's go ahead and I'm going to put think about it. And I'm going to say, it was about 3,600. Not sure what options he's going to go with, but I'm going to give what I think he would go with, just so I have good data and kind of know what the opportunity value is there if we were to get this job. Then you go to estimate info right here and you fill out the rest of this estimate information. So when did you do the estimate? Maybe you did it last week, or maybe you did it today. I'll just put now for today. Now the estimate follow-up date is when are you going to follow up with this estimate? So I love filling this out when I'm at the estimate, because if I'm talking, they're like, you know what? Let me think about it. I'll give you an answer on Tuesday. It's like, great. Do you mind if I follow up with you on Tuesday if I haven't heard from you? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. So I'll just immediately put in Tuesday, the day they said, right? Like if it was this Tuesday or something. Your estimate close date, you're going to leave blank until you actually close it. But what happens is now that I put that in, the system will automatically follow up with them on June 18th, which is just nice because you don't have to remember to do that. It does it automatically. If we leave this blank, it defaults to 1 week. So if I press save here, 1 week from right now, it will follow up with them. And the system will look at the contact information and see if it has both the phone number and the email. If it has both of them, it'll alternate. First week, it'll send a text, then it'll send an email and go back and forth. If it only has a phone number, then all it'll do is text each week. It won't text them at 3 a.m. if you're entering your stats all late. It waits till it's appropriate hours to text, but it'll either default to a week or you can put in a date that works. And under marketing templates, you can see the text it's going to follow up with. So there's 6 right here, and you can see what it says. If you wanted to say something different and customize it to your liking, you can just come in here and write what you like. Now, if you don't want it to follow up, you can click this remove contact from all follow-ups right here, press update, and it'll remove them from the auto follow-up. You'll see we've got some other things here. For my company, we take deposits, but if a customer doesn't want to give a deposit, we'll still do business with them. I just have the estimators check here because our estimators get paid commission and they don't get paid until we get a deposit or after we produce the job. Digital estimate is a situation like they live in California and they have a rental here and they want to get it painted. So digital would be like you never actually got to meet them in personal. It was all digital. You just did it over email. You don't have to use these and you can get rid of them if you don't like them, but that's why they're there and that's how I use them. The two you want to keep though are these. So yeah, you turn that on and it won't follow up with them. And then this re-add is when you want to put them back into the automation. So essentially what happens is it follows up with them and then say they like respond, say they say, hey, I'm still thinking about it. That's going to remove them from the auto follow-up because we don't want it to continue to follow up with them after they've given us an answer. So it alerts you like, hey, this person replied. You'll read the reply and it's either going to be like, oh, it was a lost one, I need to change it to went with other company, or it's something like that, like, hey, I'm still deciding, don't know yet, I'll let you know soon. In that case, you would click re-add to the follow-up. You could change the date to when you want it to follow up with them again. And again, if you leave it blank, it'll default to 1 week. So you can see that moved it over here. All right, so let's say what happened at this guy. I'm going to say I booked it on the spot. We'll say it was 62:35. Update, I'm going to go to estimate info. We'll say we did it today. I'm going to put a close date since we did book it. I got a deposit. Everything's good. Just press update. And that's how you say you booked an estimate. You'll see that it automatically moved it there. It marked it as 1. And now we can see, hey, we've got 1 for this amount. And as you get more and more in here, it's nice to see, how many estimates do we have set? How many do we have booked? How many are still pending? And then you can see your lost. You can also do a list view if you like to see it in other ways. You can manage the fields, reorganize them how you want with these columns, add in new ones. And then also if you are working in teams, you can go to filters and you can come down to estimator and you can say, I only want to see the estimates for this person. So that way, if they're going to enter their stats, they only see their set estimates and label what happened. All right, so I labeled both of those estimates as booked, and what that'll automatically do is if I go to my jobs now, you'll see I've got these jobs created. So it does take 5 minutes for it to process. So after you mark this as booked, wait 5 minutes and it'll show up in the jobs. But now you can see we've got this jobs pipeline of not ready, ready, in progress, done, not paid, done and paid. So you can manage your jobs here. And let's go ahead and open up a job. You'll see it has all the same info, but we can go to this jobs info here, and then we can put what was our labor cost, what was our material cost, what was the other job related costs. So you can do job costing. So you could organize this in a list view, or you can even export this as a CVS, but you can see, okay, what was the job size, 6,500 here, and then what was the labor and materials. So you can quickly see what your gross profit is on your jobs, take total revenue minus total costs and get your gross profit and just have that all organized and laid out for you in the CRM. So you don't have to use these things, but the more data you collect and the more you can incorporate that into your systems, I think you'll find as you grow and get bigger, it'll become more and more important and useful. And you can utilize this CRM as a tool to help you do those things in a fast and efficient manner. And this will help just keep everything nice and neat and organized for you. You can create dashboards with all different kinds of customizations to see your stats. I'm not going to go over that in this video. I just wanted to explain that's where I would start, and I would just try and commit to, hey, all my new leads, I'm going to process through the CRM. Try to enter them as they come. Or there are certain situations where you're just immediately entering an estimate. Like if you're given an estimate to Susie and her neighbor comes out and is like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, can I get an estimate on my house? And you just give them an estimate right there. Never had a chance to go through the lead cycle in the CRM. So just come down here, enter in the estimate. But I would commit to any new leads and estimates you do to process them through the CRM and just get used to the flow and seeing how this can be a helpful tool for you and your business. And then start adding things on, like incorporate the calendar, set up your phones, set up the email, maybe start running your payments through the CRM, set up some automation, start customizing this to really help take your business to the next level. You can see this is a huge time saver. And just for me and my business, our booking rate on callbacks is higher than it's ever been. And I know it's from the auto follow-ups. Unfortunately, my sales reps, maybe they're just too busy, but they weren't doing the best job following up with their old system. But now it's just so easy where everybody's going to get automatically followed up with when they reply. We either move them to a yes, no, or re-add them to the auto follow-ups.